Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. I'm here with you today. This is the first day of 2023. Wow. It seems like this came in light speed, but we're here. So I'm here in the studio with the three of us are in the studio. Myself, John B.
Happy New Year.
John B. in the place to be. Happy New Year, John.
Hello, hello.
And also Mark Bassett. He's here. He's not on a plane. He's not on a train. He's not in an automobile, but he's actually in the studio. Mark, Happy New Year.
Same to you, Kareem. There's a part of me that wishes I was at a beach again, but that's okay.
Well, we're here today.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Donna Shaw. You are the first one in the stream. Happy New Year to you. And to those of you who are hearing this, we are hoping that you are having an amazing start to 2023. You know what's funny is that when we were kids, and Jonathan,
He's still a kid.
Yeah, he's still a kid. But Mark, remember when you were a kid, and I remember being like in the third or fourth grade, and them saying, "What do you think we'll do in the year 2000?" And we're like, "Oh, we'll all be in spaceships and we'll be flying around." And here it is, 2023. I'm still haven't been in a spaceship. So we're hoping that Jeff Bezos gets his act together because we're waiting for the Jetson moment.
You can do it. You just need a little more cash.
Can you borrow us some?
No, I don't have that anywhere near that kind of
Mark,
cash.
can you borrow us some money so we can take a space flight?
I got some pocket lint. I think that's about it.
Well, we're here, and those of you that are listening to us, this is actually January the 1st of 2023. But as you know, if you guys are listening to this show, we record the show previously, so we're actually giving you a sneak peek into what's getting ready to happen in 2023 as we prepare for this new year coming. Everyone that's in the social media stream, so good to see you all. On last week, they replaced us. Can you imagine? We're replaceable, and all they did was play holiday music.
Well, as
Mariah Carey gets top billing.
Yeah.
All I want for Christmas.
as I said, as I was leaving Hemlock, everyone's replaceable, Kareem. They may not be as good as you, but they're replaceable. So.
I've been replaced by Christmas music. That's kind of sad, John.
It wasn't my decision.
But anyways, let's do a recap really quick because we had a number of things. But before we get the show started, and Mark, I didn't get a chance to tell you this because I wasn't available. We weren't connecting. But Carol Eunice, remember Carol Eunice?
No.
Merry Wives Club.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Carol, I got a call from her daughter, Mona, that she passed away.
No.
I know she had been sick, and we were praying for her for a full, speedy recovery. COVID has taken a lot of people out. There are some other issues that she's had there, but our heart and prayers go out for her and her family.
Wonderful woman.
Wonderful woman. For those of you, if you remember, Mark and I were talking, man, this was months ago. It was still warm outside.
It was. I think it was the spring. It was early in the year.
Yeah. So Mark and I, as we were embarking on challenging people to have these courageous conversations on race, I was contacted by this little old lady, and her name was Carol Eunice. And so I had the opportunity to go out, and she and I were supposed to be meeting for lunch, and she brought the entire family. So I met her husband, her daughters, her grandchildren. And we were over at Sullivan's because she was like, well, where should we go eat? I'm like, where do all old people go eat? Sullivan's. So we went to Sullivan's, and we sat there for hours, and she started talking about critical race theory and cultural bias and implicit bias. And so we literally had this conversation for hours, and it was an amazing conversation. And so she really, in just a short period of time, had a really powerful impact. And then she extended an invitation to Mark and I to go over and to meet with the Merry Wives Club, which I believe they meet every third Tuesday of the month at the Saginaw Club. And we went there, and we had another great conversation.
It was fun.
Mark and I felt like John B. You know, I think the youngest person that was in there like 80 years old.
Yeah. Well, there was a guest, a young woman, African American.
Yeah. She was there. But it was a courageous conversation. Great time that we talked about everything under the sun. And post that, she and I had gotten together one more time for lunch, and we were planning on doing some things. She took ill, and that did not happen. So our hearts, thoughts, and prayers are with the Eunice family, in the loss of such a courageous woman, and also to the Merry Wives Club. You guys are gonna have to get your game up and recruit some more people.
I think the average age had to have been in the 80s.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah.
women
So
in that club.
it was such a big loss. So
Yep.
so our thoughts and prayers will go out there, and we're gonna move forward. So we love you. Our hearts, cares, and prayers are with you, Carol. So we're gonna continue, but Mark, we're gonna do a throwback really quick because I was sharing with you guys leading up to Christmas how Mark is not only is he almost a Christmas baby, but he is a Christmas. Okay, no other word. Fanatic.
Fanatic is a good word. It's a definition of a fanatic.
Yeah, he is a Christmas fanatic. And so for those of you who are listening, and we're going to share some things, I think, with you today. Is that correct, Jonathan?
I'm going to try and get it set up.
All right, we're going to try to
Okay.
see if we can get some things set up. John and I were blessed to receive a Christmas invitation to Mark's holiday party. And we had been talking earlier that year about him going to Chicago.
Yep.
And we thought that was kind of interesting that he actually goes to a Christmas conference in July called Chicago, for those of you who are at WJOL and Joliet. And so he went to Chicago and he went to this Christmas.
It's a national, well, it's an international club, group, whatever you want to call it. You have to pay dues, $60 a year.
Wait a minute, Mark. So you're paying dues to be a part of this group?
Oh yeah, $60 a year. It's minimal fee. You get a magazine every 2 months, and it's people who there's a decent number of people out there that are really into collecting vintage Christmas decorations.
So how many people are coming to this time?
This one was, I'd say 600, 700, 800 people.
Really?
Yeah, it was crowded. No, I think they hadn't had one in a few years.
Okay.
But I was told like the attendance was down compared to usual.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, as I have a very specific kind of niche. It's not a niche, but I collect mid-century Christmas decorations. There's other people that collect turn of the century, Victorian era.
I have no idea what any of this means, Mark.
So
this
is
a very white conversation, but I'm going to impede you to have it.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I saw any black people.
No, black people was like, listen, we try to get some Christmas presents under the tree. But go ahead. Go ahead. Mark.
There was just different genres, and it was for me, they have during the day a lot of like lectures on how to fix this type of ornament or that type of ornament, or I was there to kind of. Every night people are selling merchandise out of their rooms, and so you can go to like 80 to 100 different rooms, room to room.
And
it's basically it's big convention to sell vintage Christmas
come on down
goods.
to the room. We got something in the trunk for you. But this is Mark. This is if I ever say this, I'm never going to say this again. I take that back. I probably will. This is, I think, another definition of privilege. Mark, an old white guy. What do you do when you retire?
I was one of the younger guys there.
You go collect vintage Christmas stuff.
Why is that different than anything else?
You're selling stuff out of trunks and hock and stuff.
I'm not into the selling phase yet. I'm still collecting. I'm not selling.
But we're gonna try to see if we can show you something. But is this gonna be a possibility, John?
It's gonna have to be like after the stream.
Okay,
probably.
so we'll do something after the stream. We'll show it. But we do have something because Mark's birthday also was it a week ago.
December 21st.
So a week ago yesterday.
Yeah. December 21st.
December 21st, and
we can go 2 days ago, I guess. Today's the 30th.
Yeah, today's Friday. Yeah, you're right.
Wednesday.
So, technically. So for those of you who still think it's the first, we're sorry to throw you off. It's not there yet. We're not there, but we're getting there. But we have something that I want to show. Mark collects these Christmas gifts, and we were hoping that we might be able to pull some of these images up. I went to Mark's house, and John, what was your thought when you got there?
It was like a museum. I think that's the best description I can give is if you go to a themed museum and there are these different displays set up, that's the best image that I can give you of just Christmas everything. And I like that you kept like with like. You have a section for Rudolph, you have a section for nativity scenes, you have a section for, and it was great. It was awesome to walk around and look through.
But
people like it actually. It gives as I've explained to you, Kareem, and the people that listen. It brings me joy to set it up because Christmas. I just find joy in Christmas, and it brings me joy when people appreciate it, and people tend to appreciate it.
I was like, I felt like I was trapped in the twilight zone of all of my Christmas past. I was like, my grandmother used to have that. My great aunt used to have that. And it was, I mean, Rudolph section. There's a Rudolph section with not just pictures and images and caricatures, but album covers. Albums with Rudolph on the front of them.
And board games.
Board games.
Rudolph board games.
There's two of them. Actually, there's three, but the third one's too new. I won't collect that.
It was the crazy. It was the Griswold's Christmas, and I'm dating myself. If you remember this, back in the late '80s, early '90s, Chevy Chase used to have this show called
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
It was Lampoon's Griswold Christmas Vacation on steroids. I came up, you pull up to the house, there's signs out, Christmas decorations out front. But when you come through the front door, Mark literally transitioned his entire house into a winter wonderland. Every piece of artwork that was on the walls had been removed. There were Christmas decorations. I mean, these are huge displays. I'm sitting there like, Mark, how in the world?
How do I store it is one of the first questions I get. Where
do
do you
you
stick
put
all
all
this
this
stuff? Yeah.
And it wasn't just the main floor. It was upstairs. It was the garage areas. Mark, I looked around the corner in the garage. You got stuff on the walls in there.
Because we transformed, for people to understand, it was a fairly big gathering, probably 80 to 90 people through the night. And we transformed the garage into basically a lounge, and so it was decorated in Christmas theme as well.
And I'm gonna tell you, Mark, you know how to throw a party.
I do.
I go there and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, don't I? Oh yeah, I met you at the country club.
Yeah.
Mark has bartenders that he's got coat takers. Food was, it was an amazing event, Mark. And I honestly think that I think it's an exercise in craziness, but I love that some people are crazy so that I can appreciate that crazy. Right. And that's what it was. Then he broke out, and his new talent is that he plays the piano. I did not know that. So he's playing the piano. Then another one of your friends got
Dave
over.
Dave Preston played the piano.
All right. So all of that, I want to provide. This is not for me, Mark. Of course, I'm not this thoughtful or sentimental. But Mother Walker, mom is out there. She's in the stream. She wanted to give you something, knowing what you love.
Okay,
your Christmas
Mother
baby.
Walker, I'm sorry you couldn't make it next year.
Next year. So this is Christmas. This is Christmas birthday gift. And
all right,
here you go, Mark.
I'll open it up.
We're gonna open it up on camera. It's all about Mark.
Oh wow, it's a Santa. And it's a black Santa.
Hey, that's the way we do it around here.
Now that I've gotten
Santa
one,
Claus
I can start
straight to the ghetto.
James Brown. I've got that record, but I've got 3 James Brown Christmas records. Thank you very much. I'll put it in front of the camera.
You got to show the camera.
Now that I've got one black Santa, I can start collecting others.
Now there can be black people in the North Pole.
I'll have a corner next year with black Santa.
Please don't put us in the corner. We've been at the back of the bus. Now Mark wants to put us in the corner. Mark, come on, my man. But no.
Thank you. Thank you, Mother Walker. That's awesome.
Beautiful. Yes. Y'all see those beautiful curls and
locks
look at that Santa over there.
Look at that beard. Wow.
But no, I think this is gonna look great with your stuff.
It will.
Wow, it was a great gift, an amazing gift.
It was. Thank you so much.
All right. So what did you guys end up doing for Christmas? What was your Christmas plans, Mark? Now you have a black Santa. Mark had been saying that he had wanted to have a black Santa, and
I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it.
Go ahead, Mark.
I've always wondered, I've been intrigued by getting them, but I always are people going to think I'm racist because I have this black Santa in my house? And so now that Mother
long as you don't put him out on the lawn, I mean. I think we good. I think we good, Mark.
Because there aren't that many of them out there, but there are some out there. So,
well, it's interesting because we had a conversation. We were talking when Kevin Jones was here.
Yeah.
And Kevin Jones does black teaking, and you were saying there were some pieces that you wanted to have.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mark, it's not a big deal. He goes, no, I don't think he should be the one. I was like, oh, let me stand corrected. And so I think I appreciate your sensitivity to that matter. But I think that it's good for Black Santa to have a home. I've never had a Santa Claus. I've never grew up thinking that Santa Claus was white. I always had a black Santa in my life. My grandmother used to, and this is funny, but my grandmother used to, she was big into her people. So like the biggest thing that ever happened to her was when Barack Obama became president, and we were sitting there. I think it was probably like 4 generations of folk that were in the house. Mother Walker sent me an amazing Christmas basket a while back, but I did not get a beautiful black Santa. You're absolutely right. But Miss Tally, if you remember, I knocked at the door and it was I who brought that wonderful basket when I thought about you. But my grandmother used to paint. She loved collecting angels, but she would take a brown marker and paint all of her angels.
That's awesome.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to represent. You want them to look like you. You want them to look like you. I get it.
If you couldn't buy them in the store, she would make them at home, and so it was really interesting. But no, Warding Tally, you're absolutely right. You did not get a black Santa. Maybe that's a beautiful gift moving forward.
Going forward, you should hand those out. Yeah,
I think it's beautiful. Yeah. Mom has one. Mark, I was really trying to get it for you. She's got one at home. And I was looking. I said, "Wow, that's a really nice Santa." Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, but Mark can't have this one." But I want us to really, John. What did you end up doing for the holiday season? Which I remember, Pastor. Never forget. I love you, Wardeen. You are absolutely amazing.
So we ended up doing our big family Christmas on the 18th because that's when family from out of state came into town.
Right.
Family from Tennessee come in. And then on Christmas, we ended up going to church, and then we came home. And of course, the big storm had blown through. So we were like, okay, well, let's go to Grandma's. Let's at least go to Grandma's house. And we got off the highway, almost slid through an intersection, and went, nope, we're going home.
Does she live way off the highway then?
Yeah, they live out of ways. It would have been another couple hours of driving very slowly, over ice.
So we did have a white Christmas.
Yes.
Okay. So what was it like here? I mean,
we're
getting calls that it was
wind chills, -10, -15 wind chills.
Wow. Okay. Yep. So Santa had plenty of snow to
it wasn't as much snow as they had predicted. I'd say a few inches, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe here in Midland or in the great, Midland, Saginaw area. But it was just brutally cold and super high winds, which is why the wind chill. I think the temperature was like 10.
Okay.
But the wind chill with the wind, the way it was -10, -15.
So, Mark, you had kids at home.
I had 5 kids and a daughter-in-law at home.
That's more kids than you were thinking, wasn't it?
No, I always knew the bottom 5, as I call them.
Okay, the bottom 5.
Yeah, the bottom 5 are here. And oldest of the 5, number 3, has brought his wife Jacqueline. So it's always nice.
3 were here for your birthday.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's what it was.
3 were here for my birthday. 5 for Christmas.
Well, yeah. So we ended up doing something different. We were supposed to be in Cape Coral, but the hurricane hit back in October, and so I was talking with Mom. She's like, "I just gotta get out of here." So for Christmas, I ended up giving her the gift of travel, and so we ended up going to Puerto Vallarta.
Hopefully, you didn't fly Southwest.
Mexico. We did not fly. I never fly Southwest.
I never do either.
I never fly Southwest. But it was an amazing time. Really different. Because in Mexico they celebrate Christmas very differently than we do. It's several days, and Santa Claus is not Santa Claus, but he's Papa Noel. Now, let me tell you, this is what's really funny. We're laying on the beach on Christmas Day, and it's probably 85 degrees. I'm sweating. I'd fallen asleep in the sun, so I didn't get a suntan. I got a new national identity. I am now Haitian. I am so dark. I got a dark tan. And so we're sitting there, but while we're laying on the beach, Mark, you've seen the jetpacks before.
I've never seen one live.
You've never seen one live. So
no.
It looks like Santa had a fan attached to his back, but he comes flying across the beach, and all of the little Mexican kids were like, "Papa Noel, Papa Noel." And I'm like, well, what in the world? So I had to actually pull it out. So Papa Noel is the name that they give to Santa. It was a great time. We had so much fun. We missed the snowstorm. We come back, and yes, I'm in the bed. I get a call, and my mother and my brother are calling. They came back, and the house was flooded, Mark.
Oh my gosh.
So it was crazy. Worst. You hear this, and I'm like going, okay, there is a a fountain of water shooting up everywhere, about 4 inches on the lower level of the home. Not the best thing to come back home to, but it was an amazing time that we had. So what did you guys get for Christmas? Did you get what you wanted for Christmas? Are we still
I-
wanting things for Christmas?
I got a bunch of clothes, which I didn't really ask for anything for Christmas, so I was happy with kind of what I got. Bunch of candy, bunch of warm clothes. That's the thing. I hate being cold. I cannot stand being cold. My family knows this, and so I got a bunch of warm long sleeve T-shirts and things.
No
so.
sweaters.
No, I have so many sweatshirts
Okay.
that they
I didn't
know
say a
not to do.
sweatshirt. I
Oh.
They
said a
don't wear
sweater.
sweaters.
I don't
They-
wear sweaters.
We
Okay,
wear
we
old
need,
folks wear
no,
sweaters.
I'm
Young
gonna need
people
to
wear
talk-
hoodies.
You're gonna have
Yeah.
to change your look a little bit if you want to go someplace.
Damn, Mark.
I'm gonna help you dress for success a little bit, Jonathan. You gotta dress for where
Dang,
you want to be.
Mark comes out with the blast like you got to change your look to go somewhere in life.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Now
Yeah.
that was the other thing. My man came out, and I'm talking about Mark. Mark is always a dresser. We know that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The Taeyeon collection. He is always suited and booted. Mark is the first white dude that outdresses most black dudes when we go places. And he's not, your standard black, tan, gray, brown. No, he's coming
I like
with
colors.
checks, plaids,
Patterns
polka
and
dots.
colors. Yeah.
It's crazy. So we get to this event, and I'm coming in casual because I'm just thinking this is just a Christmas holiday get together. And Mark answers the door. Did you have on an ascot?
No, I don't have an ascot.
I couldn't remember.
I had just a simple sports coat and a pocket square in, but I was wearing red suede shoes.
He had on his red suede shoes. I said, my man, Mark got a little brother in him somewhere because my man, it was well coordinated, looking good, looking dapper, the way that you
I
always
had a
should.
Santa pocket square.
Yeah, I said a pocket square with
Yeah.
red suede shoes.
Yeah.
I said, Mark, I can't take anymore. Jenny DeBoer said, I got a lot of gift cards from family and children at school. I didn't want anything. How are you guys that are out there, and those of you who are listening, that's kind of where I was. After surviving 2 years of being isolated, the only thing I really wanted was to be with family. I didn't and we made we're not going to buy Christmas presents pact this year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it was really about, just being with family, and I loved it. If we want to continue that, by the way, Mom,
it's a lot cheaper, right?
It's a lot cheaper.
I still have 7 kids that need one thing.
Yeah, but it was just to be able to celebrate being with family, and I'll tell you, Mark, it was so funny because after Christmas, I was just like, wow, I'm so appreciative, and it really put the focus on spending that time with family, recognizing the true meaning of the holiday season, the birth of our Lord and Savior, as we call him, and it was just a good feeling, and I left feeling grateful. I wasn't concerned about what I got or didn't get because we got nothing. And it was
You got a trip to
the
Mexico.
pressure. I didn't get the trip. Well, I did get a
You
trip,
did.
but I funded.
Well, I understand
trip.
that, but that was your gift.
No, it was a gift, and
Yeah.
it was interesting, Mark, because although it was a gift to my mother and to my brother, he was a baby. We couldn't leave him at home by himself. It was also a gift to me because it was an opportunity for me in the presence. I'm thinking, hey, she's been locked up with COVID and everything. Let's get her out. But I ended up being the biggest benefactor of it, of having them with me, because I'm always moving and running and doing things. And oftentimes the people that we love the most are the ones that get the least of us. And so I said to myself, it's time that we give our family the best of us instead of giving them what's left of us. And so it was a great holiday season time. I see Donna Shaw out there said new tradition. I got to have some soul food. My daughter can cook. I love you, Jenny DeBoer. We're gonna take a quick Christmas break. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. And we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about this new year and how we can prepare for great success. My tongue is still in 2022. God bless you all. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
You're listening to United Shades of Gray on WSGW.
This is Kareem, and we're back for the second half of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. We're going to talk about how do we begin to plan for a great 2023, a new year that's coming up there. But I got to tell you guys something. Mark just shared. Mark, I just can't believe it. Mark just shared. He says, between you and I, well, and all of you now, he says, I buy my own gifts for Christmas, and I have my wife wrap them so I know that I have what I want for Christmas. Oh my goodness, Mark, this is so crazy. Congratulations. Oh, and I should probably share that. Congratulations on the Hoodie Award nomination. I was nominated, and this is
I didn't know this. What's going on, man?
I don't know. You know Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey has something that he calls the Hoodie Awards, and he recognizes people in the Black community who he thinks are doing outstanding things and making contributions to the community. And one of the things I realized when I got back home, someone was like, "Hey, congratulations on your nomination." I'm like, "Nominations for what?" So this year there's a group that is doing what is called the Saginaw Hoodie Awards. And so I've been nominated for Community Leader of the Year, Community Leader of the Year.
That's a better term, I think.
Yeah, I think the term was leader. So Community Leader of the Year. And I was like, oh, wow, congratulations. And that is tonight. So if people love me and they voted for me, so I guess the community actually voted.
Did you win it, or you're in competition for it?
I'm nominated, and they called to see if I was going to attend. I'm going to go and support because I think it's an amazing opportunity. One of the ways that you can stop, negativity is to change the narrative. And so I think it's a great way for them to change the narrative, and young people are putting it together. So I'm going to go. If I don't win, I'm going to throw a tantrum. No, I'm just joking. It's taking place tonight, I believe, at the SBRC Marketplace Ballroom.
There's a ballroom in there? I didn't know.
Yeah, there is a really nice one. So we'll know what happens, and if I did bring it, I'll bring it and show it to the show.
We want to see it.
Stiff competition, because I know one of the other individuals is Bobby De Leon, who is in charge of the MAC Center, the Mexican American Council. But great guy, good friend, and so I wish whomever
Tell him I said hello.
I certainly will. All right, so we're going to get to the meat of our conversation for today. Yes, be the change. We have to be the change that we want to see. 38% of Americans say that they set New Year's resolutions. And so since this is the 1st of January, I'm seeing Mark's condescending shake right now. We always talk about what we're going to do different for the New Year's. We have goals and thoughts and minds. Do you all set New Year's resolutions? Let's start there first.
I don't.
You don't, Mark?
No.
Yeah, I saw Mark. I kind of figured that Mark with a shake of the head, but.
No.
I don't set New Year's resolutions like in the new year, I'm going to do this, but I think it is a good opportunity to kind of go, okay, it's a good stopping point and see, where am I at? Where do I want to be? What do I want to see with myself? And kind of reorient a little bit. I think it's a good opportunity to do that. I don't set up like, okay, in the new year, this is what's going to happen. But I do use it as an opportunity to kind of figure out what I want to do.
Okay, what about you, Mark?
Yeah, I would say it's a similar thing. I tend to be fairly introspective, so I'm kind of going through that process all year. But kind of in the jobs I were in, there's a decent amount of downtime, late December, mid-December to early January, and I would use that time to reflect on, what could I, as a leader of a company or something, what did we do well? What could I do differently? What could I do better? But I tend to spend frankly, a lot of time reflecting on where am I going? What am I trying to accomplish? Are there things I need to work on? I do that fairly consistently through the year, not just.
So are we anti? So you say you do it consistently through the course of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that my lifestyle would probably mirror that as well, Mark. But however, for those of you, Donna Shaw says that her resolution is to not have a resolution.
Well, then didn't you fail because you had a resolution?
There you go.
All right. So, but what I have my entire life, each year comes around, and I set resolution goals, whatever I do every single year. I am notorious for it. And I
do you write them down?
I write them down.
Okay.
I challenge people around me to do the same. I am and we'll talk a little bit about this. I am a big person at the beginning of the year. I do vision boards.
Wow.
And
I'd like to see that.
no,
I
absolutely.
would. I'm serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do vision boards for every single year. And I do something called life mapping for those that you are out there that are listening. I am big on planning for your success or planning for your greatness. And it's one of the things I think that has been really that has served me well in terms of being able to do a multiplicity of things all at once. And so next week, Jenny Demore, this is not a resolution, but I'm getting myself back to church. It's been too long. I'm a better me when I'm in with believers of Christ. Great. That is a great decision to make. And, it's funny because I was talking to a young man, and I'm going to go back to where I was. I was talking to a young man the other day who's probably about 23 years old. He calls me up and he's like, yes, I just needed to talk to you. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm thinking there's like a major thing. He goes, I need to get back to church. I'm like,
okay, then just start coming.
That's exactly what I thought. But I think that there are a lot of people who over the past couple of years have somehow really become disconnected with their faith. And Mark, we've had this conversation that has been one of the things that you really were seeking to do. The other thing I'm going to tell you, you set a goal in 2020 when we were talking, and this is probably right when you were probably September, that you really wanted to be more present for your family.
That's true.
And,
yeah, I mean, I was present for my family, wife, kids, build a better, deeper relationship with God, and figure out ways I could use my skills more broadly.
And so even though it wasn't a New Year's resolution, it was something that you were resolute in doing.
Right.
And I should have probably given you an award or put together some kind of a pin, because what I have seen you do, and I think it's really kind of cool to be able to see you step away from corporate America and then really make the commitment. I joke about you traveling all over the time, but a lot of your travel was really making sure you were worried because your kids, dude's got a football team.
I've got 7 kids that live everywhere from San Diego to Boston.
And I think over the past
DC.
year, you've probably been to
I've seen them all at least once. Yeah, multiple times.
So Mark, how does that, so that kind of a change, and when we think about going into a new year, we think about making changes that are important to have a more fulfilling life. And that's really what making a resolution is about.
Yep.
How has that changed your outlook and how you feel as dad in charge?
I don't know that it has yet, to be perfectly honest. Because what I really wanted to do was change the dynamic of the relationship and make it less father-child and more, you're always going to be the father.
Yep.
But kind of even out the relationship a little bit. And frankly, I'm not sure I've made a ton of progress in that sense. I've been more present for him when I'm there. I'm not on calls constantly and things like that. And so that's a step in the right direction, but I'm nowhere near where I really would want to be. And I think ultimately, for me, that's a blessing and a curse of it never ends. So you're always trying to do something better or, better.
But Mark, I think, and Jonathan, you give me I think that when adult children get older, they just simply want you to respect them as adults.
Yep.
But they always want you to be dad. So I think that you may want something that they may not necessarily want. They always want you to be dad.
No, I understand. What I'd like, again, we're getting into my personal thing here, but is
right. Hey, we're gonna get together for the new year.
To have just a more comfortable, relaxing conversation where it's not this parent-kid dynamic, which I still feels like it is at times. And maybe it'll always be that, but I'd like it to be less that. So,
well, good luck at that, because I have and my mom, my dad is no longer alive, but my mom, while we were away, I was like, listen, Mom, you have 2 adult sons. We're grown men. We understand that you're going to be mom, but gosh darn it, let us be men.
Yeah.
But in the same token, I don't want her to be cool mom friend.
Right.
I want her always to be mom.
Yep.
And as long as she respects, my humanity and me being a man of my own, then I think that I'm good with that. And I don't want her to be anything other than mom. And I can't believe I'm going to actually say this. She drives me crazy when she's being mom.
Yep.
And because I want to say that I'm a grown man, but I appreciate her still being mom.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, John?
I think that my relationship with my parents is kind of what Mark wants. That's a crude way of putting it, and I'm sorry, I don't mean it in a rude way.
Because you and your dad are friends.
Yeah, my dad and I, like, it's one of those, one of us can call the other one or walk into a room with the other one or whatever and say, hey, I need to bounce a few things off of you. And we'll sit and we'll have a hour-long conversation. My relationship with my mom is a similar one where she's mom. She's always going to be mom. That's a continuous thing. But it's one of those, we can sit down, we can have conversations, we joke around with each other, play pranks on each other. There's not as much of an authority difference there. And I think that's kind of that. I think that kind of started in high school, even for me.
You know what? And I didn't even mean for this conversation to go this direction, because we were really talking. We're going to get back to this for a little bit. But you're bringing up a dynamic that I saw in my friends that I went to school with, my white friends. There was much more of a, hey, friend, hey, buddy. They would just talk and have, I'm like, you have that conversation with your parents? And in my black family, there was a very, I don't want to say power structure, but I am the parent, you are the child. And that was the dynamic.
That's how I grew up.
That's how you grew up as well?
My parents loved me. They did the best they could, but it was a very hierarchical. Like, I couldn't believe I better not express opinion different than my father's.
Okay.
Or all hell was going to break loose, basically. And so there wasn't a lot of what I'd say open dialogue and communication. Wasn't a ton of warmth in a certain. And so, you mimic what you learn. And so, especially with our older kids, we were kind of like that as well, a bit. And so, anyway.
Well, happy holidays to you as well, Shar. It is the 1st of January, actually, in spirit. It is the new year. I'm not sure if you're in Detroit or if you're in Atlanta. She's all over the place. Now, let me tell you about this lady. And we're talking about goals. When we talk about planning and goal setting, Shar, we should probably have you come on the show. Phenomenal. She's worked and supported me in things that we've done before in past. But this woman goes on Oprah's set. Okay.
Oh, wow.
This is how intense this woman is. She goes on Oprah's set. And she's always dressed to the nine. Mark, you would appreciate her. She is a tall, statuesque, I should say, African-American woman. And my hair is longer than her hair.
Wow.
Very
short hair.
Just striking. You are too kind. I'm honest. And by the end of the show, Oprah's trying to figure out who's the woman with the smart pencil dress on in this
skirt.
Yes, pencil skirt. Yes.
Okay.
and this is how she has operated. And so she has been amazing. She operates in so many different types of ways. And so, Shar, we really need to bring you on sometime, and you can kind of coach us through, the etiquette of planning our life and our day and those types of things. Someone says, Shar, you're all that and a bit more. So I'm really kind of, thankful that she's a part of this. I know she runs a bread and breakfast in Detroit. But I think her and her family have moved to Atlanta. She does a number of really cool things. Great having you in the stream, Shar. But we're going to get back to this New Year's resolution. So I want you guys to answer these questions.
Sure.
I gave you a couple questions. When you think back and you look back at 2022, I want you to answer these questions for me. Number one, what did you do well this year? Number two, what could you have done better? 3, what was your greatest achievement in 2022? And then lastly, what will you do differently in 2023? And so those of you who are out there, the questions once again were, what did you do well this year? What could you have done better? What was your greatest achievement? And then lastly, what will you do differently in 2023? Okay, you're in Detroit for now. So, Shar, we got to connect before you leave. I need you to do some etiquette classes for our kids. We'll get all of that stuff going.
Oh, she does etiquette training.
Etiquette training.
Oh, wow.
She's amazing. Let me tell you how good she is.
That's awesome.
While you guys are thinking about those questions,
I've got my answers.
We did. Mark takes no time. He's like, I'm very self-aware. We did a basketball camp with Tom Joyner. I mean, he was my hero in terms of radio. Down in Orlando, probably about 50,000 people are at this event. We do a basketball camp at the Hard Rock Cafe on what is it called? The place, Islands of Adventure. What is the theme park down there called?
I don't do that.
Whatever
Yeah.
the big theme park is, there's a Hard Rock Cafe. We do a basketball camp inside the Hard Rock Cafe. In the basketball camp, she takes time out and she starts doing etiquette on how kids should introduce themselves before the game.
Good for her. Yeah.
Phenomenal. So I think we had Steph Curry, Jay Rich, and what's the other little guy's name? Paul.
Not Paul.
Chris
Pierce.
Paul. Chris Paul. Yeah. Amazing. So thank you, Shar. But anyways, what are your answers, Mark?
Oh, what did I do well?
Yes. What did you do well in 2022?
I think when it's all said and done, I can tend to be hard on myself, but I went through one of the the biggest transitions someone who's worked for 30 years can make, which is retiring.
From CEO to no-do.
To nobody. I went from CEO to nobody. Somebody to nobody. And I when it's all said and done, I think there's been ups, there's been downs, but when it's all been said and done, I've done that fairly well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next. What could you have done better this year?
I think again, when I said it earlier, the real reason I stepped down was to spend more time building a deeper relationship with my wife, my kids, and God. And I don't know that I got it nearly anywhere near where I wanted to in those areas. The other one was to figure out ways I could make an impact in the community. I actually made more progress in that area than some of my personal relationships.
And I want to say to you guys, those of you who are listening, because a lot of people say, Mark, they like our chemistry. They like how we play off of one another. And I want to say to them that business is the thing that kind of connected us initially, but it was really that pursuit of being a better person that really brought us together and made us friends.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. So what was your greatest achievement?
Oh, I would say, let me come back to that. Again, I think at a high level, it's kind of what I said the first thing. Constructively handling what is could be a very traumatic event for someone like myself. So when you work for 32 years, you're successful doing it, and then one day you don't, and you just don't go back through the door. I've seen a lot of people go downhill really fast, kind of emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and they don't handle it well. Get sick. I had somebody kill themselves.
People don't want to sit at your feet. They don't want to have the lunch with you. They're not calling. All of a sudden, your phone's not ringing with those same people.
Yeah. And I think I've seen this statistic before a couple times where it's amazing how many people die within 3 years of retiring. It's a pretty high percentage. I don't have it. We should look it up. And if you get past those first 3 years, then you live pretty long.
Wow.
Because it's such a kind of life-changing event. So that's my greatest achievement.
I'm going to tell you what your greatest achievement was in just a second. Jonathan. All right. So what did you do well this year, John?
Well, I think that looking back at it, and I think that 1, 2, and 3 are all very tied together for me. I put everything I had into developing professionally.
Okay.
And I can't think that I left anything on the table. I can't think that there's anything that I could have done more in terms of becoming a professional in the field that I want to go into.
You took leaps and bounds.
That's what I'm looking at. Is I've grown up a lot in the last year professionally, and I think that's great.
What could you have done better?
I could have taken way better care of myself.
Okay.
I ate terribly. My sleep patterns were awful, and that's a matter of getting used to. Okay, you got to wake up every day and go to work for 8 hours and come home and be responsible about that. At the same time, you got to stay active. Sitting in a studio chair for 8 hours a day has its tolls. So taking care of myself is definitely the thing that fell by the wayside there.
What was your greatest achievement?
I got a lot better at communicating with people. I hate talking with strangers. I'm a very introverted person, and I think that that's the biggest thing. I went out to Kansas City in November to the National Association of Farm Broadcasters convention, and I felt very comfortable talking with people and introducing myself and conversing and reporting on things that were going on. I felt very in my element, and I think that that's the biggest thing for me. And I feel very in my element talking with people that I wouldn't normally. So I feel comfortable now. I've been covering city council in Saginaw for a while.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable walking up to anybody in an important government position and just saying, hey, can you answer a few questions? As a reporter, that's an important step to have.
Yeah. So what would you do differently in 2023?
I'm going to take better care of myself. For
Okay.
one, it's one of those. I'd like to make sure that I'm getting the sleep that I need, and I've been doing that the past few months. I've been kind of recalibrating in that, eating not like garbage, not eating gas station food every day, and drinking a liter of soda every day.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say to you, for both of you, I want to say that one of your greatest achievements in my eyes is that you both lent yourself to having what I consider courageous conversations.
Thank you.
When we were talking, we had the conversation. If we sit here, we talk about race. Kareem, for you, it's as being someone who is continually fighting for the advancement of people of color, it makes sense. We say the wrong thing on the radio.
It could go really bad.
It could go really bad, really fast.
fast.
So there's no upside to this. And so I challenge you guys to really take the leap and to have those conversations and talk about things, to be honest about where you were.
Yep.
And we made the decision that we would protect one another in those conversations. And not that you got to protect anybody, but knowing where your hearts are and when you speak, just to make sure that you're being heard for what you actually mean and not being stereotyped into something. So I want to applaud the both of you. I think those are two of the greatest things that you could do. And I think that our conversations here have sparked conversations with other individuals, because I know that after I'm off the air, people are asking me about or contributing to this conversation.
Good.
So I want to say I think those are great. So for me personally, what did I do well this year? This year, I think what I did well was really focus. There were some areas for me personally that I needed to focus in, and I took the time to focus and work on those specific areas of.
Do you want to
life.
share, or you prefer not to?
I prefer not to.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
I
fine.
mean, we maybe another show.
Okay.
What could I do better? What I could do better, I've already started, and that's get more sleep. I'm a person who doesn't need a ton of sleep for me to function, but I recognize that your body needs to sleep and it needs to repair and just to be your best self. And so I've started to make sure that I get that rest. Thank you, Mom. She says we have great chemistry. Yes, Mother Walker. What was my greatest achievement for this year? My greatest achievement, I think, for this year is that I became fearless in my representation of the things that are important to me. And that was something that I think that I may not have always possessed. A part of me has always been outspoken, but I've not necessarily been as willing to own and be bold and to be authentically who I am. And so I think that was probably my greatest achievement, and to fight for the people and the causes that I think that are important, no matter how other people feels about them. All right. What will I do differently in 2023? I am so stoked about the changing of 2023 coming in. And so what I'm going to do differently is I am really going to make sure that I lend more of myself to specific things instead of doing a million things. Instead of being a jack of all trade, I'm really going to hone in onto some things that I'm going to really lend my attention to.
Do you want to talk about those, or you prefer not to?
I'm not going to talk about those right now.
All
This is the first day of the year, Mark. We got a lot of time in the year, but not right now.
Okay.
But just for everybody that's out there, this I really wanted us to have some fun. Question about 2022. What do you do well this year? What could you have done better? What was the greatest achievement? And what will I do differently? Absolutely. Thank you, Shar, for putting those in the comment. For those of you who are listening or tuning in or see this in its recap, I want you guys to answer those questions. We'll share them on next week's show. Thank you so very much. I am so excited about 2023 for what this show has to bring, some things that I've been working on, some guests that I was speaking with as early as today in terms of their participation.
Wow.
Got some great people in store. Hope you guys have had a wonderful 2022. Be safe as you prepare to bring in this new year. And for those of you who are listening today, Happy New Year. I used to always say, Happy New Year, but now I say Happy New Year. Make next year's you or this year's you better than last year's you. Thank you, guys. I love you guys, Mark.
Love you too, man.
And John. Be great and take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you. Grace and peace.
So we're still on the stream here.
Okay.
I've got some of the pictures from
All right.
I have a small selection of them.
All right.
All right. So are we still live right now?
We're still live.
Okay. So those of you who are listening, Dr. Sabrina Black, I was just telling them about wonderful people that I was telling that I wanted to connect with this year. And she is one of those individuals. There's something that you've been doing that I've been secretly spying on, Dr. Sabrina Black. And I want you to bring your expertise into the space. Once again, I want to show those of you who are just coming in. Mark is an avid Christmas collector, and so for Christmas, Mother Walker has bought him. Notice the snowflake here.
Yeah.
His first piece.
Gingerbread. I love gingerbread, man.
Gingerbread
he's a
Santa.
cook. He's a baker, it looks like.
All right, so we're gonna make it happen. Hey, still live. Yes, we are still live. We're gonna continue because we're gonna show you some of the stuff. And we figured that we would do it in an after show recap of what Mark Dotson's holiday party looked like. This
Mark
is
Bassett.
I'm sorry, Mark Dotson, good friend. I must call him afterwards, attorney down in Lansing. Mark Bassett. You met Mark Dotson.
I did.
All right,
guy.
so John, go ahead. Why don't you show us some of these amazing images?
All right, let's see.
Here, let me scoot over so I can.
The
That's
images.
the basement. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a little dark, but yeah.
Get your mic, Mark.
Oh,
you can't
sorry.
leave your mic.
Okay. That's the basement wall, and it's got a lot of Santa vacuum forms that are called up on the wall. They're very thin plastic, very fragile, typically 1950s, and they light up. You hang them on the wall. The one in the middle is actually hard plastic. It's made by Noma.
I have no idea what that is, but
I don't know either.
This is on the second floor, the wall at the top of the landing. It's a part of the wall. And it's a wall just full of stuff related to the nativity. The big poster in the middle came out of it actually on Montgomery Ward's. You can see it. You can't see it in this picture, but it's printed at the bottom. It's probably 6 feet, 7 feet tall.
yeah,
4
Mark,
feet.
you needed to pull back on some of these, John.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you out with your.
There, it was
That's
hard
as
to
far back as I could go.
get.
Okay.
This is a hard shot
Yeah.
to get. And then the rest of them, you can see again more vacuum form. Nativity scenes in the foreground, one in the background, and then there's a ceramic Christmas tree
Over here on the
right
wall.
on the wall that lights up. There's a little nativity in that, and then at the bottom there's one of these 3-dimensional holographic nativity scenes that's lit up below the ceramic Christmas
All right,
tree.
And then
Excellent.
right next to this is the guest room.
The guest room.
And when I said that Mark changed everything, like every room in the house, the bathroom, the kitchen.
Yeah, that's true.
everything.
This is the guest room. Some of the art in this room stayed the same right above the bed, but you can see to the left of the bed, there's a wall with the paper kind of stars, and then a plastic 3-dimensional angels, and then above that whole bookshelf got replaced with Christmas stuff. That's old, actually vintage wall wrapping paper in that frame.
His house becomes a Christmas museum.
Yeah.
Next picture, John.
So this is downstairs. This is like the main
The
fireplace
main
area.
floor, that's the Christmas tree, obviously. And then you can see.
Did you get a close up? Okay, this is what we need to talk about
Yeah.
here. Those of you who are listening, when you look at what is here, Mark, I said to myself, I said, who put these ornaments on the street? Because these ornaments were spaced exactly, probably 2.5 inches apart, uniform all the way around the tree. I've never seen it.
I did that.
Macy's
yeah.
does not have
Yeah.
a tree like that.
Yeah.
So I asked Mark, who put those on the tree?
I do that.
He says, I did. I said, I know you did.
Yeah.
But Mary did your wife did the lights, which was
Mary
equally
does the
dispersed.
lights. I am not a very patient person, and so I tended to just wrap them around the outside.
You're not patient for what you don't want to
Well,
be.
exactly.
patient
I
for,
don't
but
want to
these
do the lights. I want to
ornaments
do
are
the
ridiculous.
ornaments. Exactly. You're exactly right.
Next one.
All right. This is on the second floor. I was trying to find this one, but I want you to tell the story behind this because you told me. I don't know if you told Kareem what that is.
I didn't get this.
No,
story.
that's a mobile that you typically hang from the ceiling. It's made out of driftwood. And I got that when we lived in Hawaii, probably late 60s, early 70s. Again, it typically would hang from a ceiling and dangle like a mobile. But our ceilings aren't high enough to do that. So I hung it on the wall like a piece of art. Actually, if you look to the right of that, there's a little paper bag. That's from Long's drugstore in Hawaii. I used to go to Long's all the time. They actually used to have an old food counter like you'd see, and I did a patty melt.
Okay.
They had ices. Anyway, I found one of those bags and I just tack it up on the wall. It's like a piece of art.
Wow.
I don't know where this one is.
That's
is
in the
downstairs.
basement.
This is
That's
the
the
basement.
Rudolph.
This is
That's the
Rudolph
Rudolph
section.
section.
Remember
Rudolph
I told you
wall.
he had a Rudolph section. This is the Rudolph section.
Yeah.
I mean, games, toys, figurines. This thing here on the bottom on the right, I remember my grandmother used to have it.
It's called popcorn plastic. There's a very popular, again, you see them with reindeers. Santas are very typical, trees, lights. They have them for different seasons as well. But if you look at the Santa right above that, it's a music box. And if you start it, pull down the thing, the eyes of both Santa and Rudolph move back and forth.
This year I only changed the Christmas village. It's an entire light bulb town with the city hall.
Oh yeah, I know what she's talking about.
Banks. It's a prosperous town. Laugh out loud. We also changed the tree. Her name is Giselle, and it stays up all year in different.
Oh wow, good for her. I like that.
Sabrina is the
Sabrina. That's awesome.
Dr. Black. She sang Christmas theme song. Oh, not Christmas, but TV shows. She did a sing along for 365 days during COVID, just to bring cheer to people's home.
Yeah.
And I try to tune in as often as possible. Yeah. So I'm sure she would love this madness. Yeah. She gets into it. What's next, John?
This is also in the basement. I like this.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
The bear.
I always get asked, did I shoot it? No, I found it in an antique store and I just liked it. I thought it would go good with the vibe of the basement. So I bought it. So
not sure where this one is.
That is the nativity room.
Yep.
And so we turned my wife's office. We have so many. My wife really loves nativity sets. I do too as well, but it's really her thing. And we have that's a kind of a cabinet in that office, and it's got a bunch of nativity scenes on it, small and large.
All right. Let me see. What haven't we done yet? Have we? No, that's Rudolph.
Yeah, you took macro pictures. I wanted to show people the sheer scope of what this madness looks like.
Here, one sec.
Okay, so this is, if you guys can see, like this is
oh, that's my basement.
This is what the basement looks like. I mean, let me. It's intense. Every single thing, every wall, every nook, every cranny is decorated. You got those close-up pictures.
Yeah.
But I want to show. I was like blown away. I was like, I've never seen
second floor hallway.
So this is the second floor hallway at his home. Every single piece of this house is decorated. It was absolutely amazing.
It is. I think Jonathan said it well. It's like a museum. I've been told that before. I've been thinking about maybe it's something you and I could work on, is opening up my house as a museum. But, with the small donation, people can kind of come in and do small group tours to support a charity of some sort.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea. Once again, I'm trying to see if I can get this.
That is kind of the main fireplace room on the main floor.
You have
I think you've got a wider lens than I do. I think that's
I'm sure I probably have a better phone.
Yeah, probably.
but it was an amazing opportunity. Do you have other pictures, John, that you wanted to show them?
They're more close up and individual, but here's the shelf of littles, I think is what
this is amazing.
Little ceramic things and wood things from either Japan or Germany, typically some Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Here's an example of some of them.
Yeah, so that's like the German section of that shelf, little German wood box, music boxes.
Yeah, and then back in the basement, some more individual things. I thought this was cool.
Yeah.
So if you look at this piece from I'll let Mark explain.
Yeah, so that is called lenticular. So if you look at it, and older people would have seen this when they were growing up. You look at it from one direction, and you can see in this case, it's a set of choir boys. If you look at it from a different direction, it's a Santa Claus, and that's really cool. As you kind of walk around it, it goes back and forth.
So real quick, Mark, Jonathan, I want to show them.
So that's the basement.
So this is what the basement looks like. Okay. I mean, every ounce of this basement is covered.
Yeah. So like that one wall in the far ground is all soda advertising.
Yeah. So here's another.
Yeah. So I have a pinball machine and a Pac-Man machine down there. People love it because, again, it's a lot of nostalgia. So.
But it is definitely a museum. And Mark, I would love to. This was the dining area, and I thought this was really a cool one.
Yeah, I really like that wallpaper. A guy named Kuhn Young. So if anyone's ever looking for an interior decorator, and I think you and Mother Walker know.
Yeah, we've worked with him before. Yep.
Great guy. He's helped me. I have my own point of view, but Kuhn comes in and helps me edit it and do things that I wouldn't have think of. We make a great team. But if anyone's actually looking for an interior decorator for some help, Kuhn's the guy to go to, man.
Yeah, so we just wanted to share a little bit of this, and if you guys have an idea that is stirring in your mind, or an organization that you think would be great to benefit from some profits, if Mark said, "Hey, I want to do, sell tickets, and we'll do this opportunity for people to come in and have this Christmas experience," we're gonna have to do something with the backyard, though, Mark, and amp that up a bit.
I know.
But I think it would be a great
Yeah.
opportunity. It was really a Christmas wonderland. And I want to thank you for sharing it with us. And now our listeners, Mark, thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
All right. So we're going to take it from here. You guys have an amazing evening. Thank you for tuning in for the after show. God bless you. Dr. Black will be back in touch real soon to make some great things happen in 2023. God bless.